Hello, it's Catherine Gallagher here. Thanks for joining me. I'm delighted to be able to come on and talk to you now that I've got enough supporters. The more supporters I have, the more I'm able to actually do, contribute, and serve you as my supporters here. I don't call people followers because I don't really think we need to follow. I think if we like something and find it engaging, we can be supportive of it. And that's really where my mindset's at. Now, many of you might know that I come from a nursing background. I nursed and then I progressed into the psychological field, mainly because I've got a challenge myself. I've got a physical disability. I'm very open about it because, it helps you to relate to where I am and how I engage. The other reason that I moved from nursing into the psychological field, I transitioned from nursing into, sales and marketing and branding, which gave me a wealth and breadth and depth of knowledge of business. And I'm really grateful that I did that. And I was very good at it, but it wasn't really my thing, if you like. It wasn't where I wanted to put my focus and expertise. So I transitioned into the psychological field, and I've been working within this field for over 30 years. I love what I do. I'm very passionate about it. And for me, it's all about empowering others. And I've worked with thousands of clients, and they've come to me with all sorts of challenges and all sorts of transitions in life, and wanting to build their confidence, their self-esteem, wanting to be able to work on their mindset, being able to maybe let go. And I've also done global mental health trainings, and many of you may have attended some of the trainings that I've delivered. And I've had the privilege of being able to work with, a lot of large companies who have asked for me, requested me, and also on behalf of other services as well. So why did I launch Empower Your Midlife, a guide to thriving, growing and moving forward? Well, many of my clients would ask me after they'd worked with me, how can I actually keep this going? How can I maintain this? Or how can I, without pocketing you and having you in my shoulder and constantly having you in my mind, which I would be like, that's alarming. You don't really want to have me constantly in your mind. They asked me, where do I get these skill sets? How can I maintain them and have them to be able to refer back to? And I really thought about that, and it's taken me a long time because I wanted to make sure I delivered the book that would serve people in the best way. So it's only been launched the end of November, and this is January now at the moment in 2025. You may be looking at this and listening to this later on, but it's very early days that I've launched this book, and people that know me will know that I'm quite impatient. I've launched it in November and it's like supposed to take off, and I've had many people that have bought the book, and I'm delighted and grateful for that. But I've also had people coming to me and wanting to know what's in it. Well, the book has, if you go into Amazon at the moment, it's available there at the moment currently, but it will hopefully go out to other publishers. But if you look at the book itself in Amazon, you'll see there's a breakdown of exactly what you should expect to get. There's also a bibliography, there's a bio on me, and if you're interested in what I do and who I am, then you can actually see exactly, my background. And I wanted to tell you, right? I wanted to tell you in person. The book itself has been driven, as I said, by my clients that I've worked with and by people requesting to have strategies available, to be able to dip into, to refer to, and make sure that it's available as and when you need it. It's a life book. It's a book that's there available to you to tap into at any time. You can go back to it. I also did a journal along with that to help people see ideas of how to put together the strategies. The journal is again a guide. We're all individual, unique people. We have our own ways of doing things, and it's not for me to tell somebody how to live their life. I certainly would never do that because I don't want them coming back and saying that was wrong. I also don't want to do that because I'm about empowering people, and I want people to make their own decisions and choices, and that goes along with the strategies, how to implement them in your life. So get back to me, give me feedback, put reviews on the book itself on Amazon. All I look for is for authentic, genuine, and constructive feedback, so that others can learn and can understand and grow and be encouraged, by the insights that people have. You'll find that I've started launching the myths of midlife. There's so many myths of midlife. I know in my 20s, I had many people, telling me, oh, when you get to your midlife, that's when it all downhill. No, it's not. It doesn't have to be, right? In fact, I guess many people that are reaching their midlife, and it's very subjective what that is. Somebody was telling me that they're in their 20s and they're preparing for their midlife. Some people in their 30s, 40s, 50s. I had people coming to me in their 80s that are reading the book and telling me that they consider that midlife is just a term. It just means it's a stage and age of your life where you're wanting to have the best version of you, the best version of your life. It doesn't have to be big changes. Small changes make a big difference. I say that all the time in my clinical work. Small difference, can make a huge change to you. Sometimes it's tweaking our mindset, it's our behaviours, it's our healthy habits that we need to develop, it's consistency. What makes things successful is consistency, delivering things on a regular basis, creating habits that actually form a different way of thinking and a better way of doing things. But it has to be achievable, right? There's no point in creating a habit if you then are like, well, I'm kind of fed up with this, I'm kind of bored with this. I'll give you an example. I launched my book at the end of November, and I started getting a bit anxious and a bit, impatient, and is this really serving people? People really enjoying this? Where's my reviews? And it wasn't like, tell me I'm great. It was more about, is this resonating with people? Do people understand? And it wasn't until recently that somebody said to me, it's only the end of November, right? 24 that you published this. What are you expecting? And I'm like, I don't know. So now we're in January 25. People are buying the book. I'm delighted. I'm thrilled. I kept the cost down to the minimum because I want people to really benefit. I want it to be available to as many people as possible. That's my life work, if you like. And I will do more at some point, but right now I just want people to see, these strategies and tools because they're proven, they're psychologically proven strategies. We know that these strategies work, and I wanted to share them with as many people as possible, to be able to develop, grow, learn, change, transition, and to have strategies that make things easier. Does that make sense? So if you're finding that this strategies, that this book is helpful for you, I'd like to hear about it. If you have any other comments, DM me, and let me know. If there's something that you want me to talk about in the group to do with midlife, to do with other psychological topics, it's not therapy I'm offering, right? Let's be clear about that. It's a group for discussion to support each other. It's not about me, it's actually making it about you. That's why I talk about empower your midlife. Empower your midlife. It's not about me, it's about helping you with my expertise and knowledge. And I don't know it all. I don't pretend to know it all. I'm not perfect. In fact, I have my flaws, right? And those that know me don't come on and tell people. But I do have things I'm working on all the time. But I do also have a lot of knowledge and expertise, and I want to share it. And if you find this helpful, if you think, oh, actually, maybe she's okay, maybe I could connect with this person, then like, share, and encourage people to come onto the community group. I want to be able to serve you the best I can. The more followers, I don't like calling people followers, I think they're supporters, but the more supporters I have, the more people that like, share, and comment. The algorithm on any social media then goes, oh, hold on a minute, maybe this is being looked at, maybe this is making sense to people, and then it allows other people to see what's happening, and then more people will join. At the moment, I've got 300 and odd, 390 or something like that, supporters. I need 1,000. a minimum of 1,000 to really be able to come on and deliver. So I'm pleading to people, not begging, because that's that's not necessary, but I'm pleading people, if you do find the information and the topics. I also was asked recently about the content and the promotional content. That's me, right? Apart from the one with Christmas that was sent to me, and I put it on, and it had literally 200,000 views plus. Right, I lost count after 200,000, to be honest with you. I had 230 or 40, or it just kept skyrocketing, right? And that was the post that got the most views and the most likes. And it's great because it was fun, right? It was engaging. And I guess it gave us that nice feeling, didn't it? That sense of, things in the world were nice. There were some things that we could do that made us laugh and we felt enjoyment, because we do know there's lots of challenges and difficulties that people have, whether it's individually or whether it's a society. And we know what's going on locally around us, many of us. And it can be hard sometimes not to get so despondent and not to think that everybody, there's so much, that it's happening, but there's also a lot of good things and kindness. I talk about gratitude, and there's more in the book if you want to read about it. Gratitude is about being grateful for everything that you receive, even the difficult things that have happened. And that can be a tough ask. If something happens that you just don't see anything to be grateful about it. But sometimes certain things in our life that happen, when we close that door, we get another opportunity, but we have to be open to it. Listen, there are things that have happened to me in my life that, finding, to be grateful about it can be difficult. And it can actually mean I have to dig deep. And as much as you don't sometimes want something to have happened, particularly if it's a significant loss, and I've had some major losses in my life, I'm not grateful for that person not being with me. I'm not grateful for certain things that I no longer have, but I can see the potential and opportunities within myself to grow as a person, and to maybe be more empathic or compassionate or show kindness, or there's different things that we can learn and grow. And sometimes when we lose somebody, a person, we realise the strength that we have within us. We never thought we would get through something so difficult, so challenging and so tragic. So I do every day go through and look for things to be grateful for. For instance, today, right, I got up, I was picked up to go for some shopping, and I was with my dad, right? My dad, like one of my best friends, if not my best friend, right? Very close. And we went shopping together. I love spending time with people. For me, the most important thing is my relationships, right? That's why I love engaging with people, with my clients, and also within the group, because I genuinely do care, right? And I'm very interested. So we went shopping, we got our messages, the real Scottish term, you might know I'm from Scotland, and we got our shopping, and then I was talking to the girl that was the cashier that was checking me through with my shopping, and she was having a conversation with a colleague, and they were talking about, they brought me into the conversation, I wasn't kind of intruding, right? They brought me into it, but they were talking about empty nest syndrome. They were talking about, their kids growing, moving on, getting jobs, moving into further education, and the empty nest syndrome that often we refer it to, isn't it? Where you're then thinking, well, I've got all this space and time, and I feel redundant. Does somebody need me? Does somebody want, who's going to want things from me? And they're talking about their midlife. They're talking about finding purpose, right? Finding a different sense of purpose. And one of them said, I think I might retire, but what I also might do is come back and work a few hours, right? And then somebody else was saying, because people started joining the conversation, because that's typical what happens in Scotland, right? And then somebody else was saying, well, I don't know if I'll do that, but I might do some other kind of thing. I might look for things in my life that I can find purpose. It might be a hobby, an interest. It might be, a different type of career and input, but I don't want to be sitting necessarily and not doing something. somebody said, well, I don't know. I think that, when my kids move out, I'd quite like to be able to feel a sense of I can focus back on me. And it might be, I might go to a coffee shop and have a coffee, and it might be that I, go for walks, or, I might take up painting or another hobby. I might do that, but I don't want to feel the pressure to fill that time. Midlife, that is why I'm passionate about talking about empowering your midlife. And whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, or your 40s, or preparing for midlife, it might be that you see your midlife at a certain time or stage. It's not about age. Midlife is very subjective. Often we find in midlife we meet crossroads, challenges, things change. We find that in our midlife we have to adapt and adopt. We have to transform and change into different things, or come to terms. Sometimes we're grieving the loss of something. Grief isn't necessarily just losing a person. It can also be, losing something you have in your life, a career, a relationship, friendships, because we outgrow friendships, don't we? Where we put our attention, right, is what we focus and what we deliver on for ourselves. Does that make sense? Because we point our brain in different directions. The reason why I put together Empower Your Midlife is so that people can see how to be able to move forward when they feel stuck, or they want a purpose, or they just want to feel that they can improve their resilience or their mindset, or have different healthier habits, and how to maintain that consistency. You'll see in my book I talk about a model I developed. I started working within the psychological field. I started up my company in 2002, but I was working within the psychological field in the 1990s, and I was employed at that time. I'm now self-employed, and people often will say to me that when they are in different stages and transitioning and having change, that it can be quite confronting, and it can be very difficult to maintain your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and your self-worth. But not for everybody. Right? Working with entrepreneurs like myself, I'm an entrepreneur, working with different people, we know that it has to be, in that model I wrote, there's 5 stages. So I know there's a problem, right? The problem's with me, which is not about blaming, right? That's about acknowledging and accepting. The minute we own something, then it's ours, and we can do something with it. People will say to me, that they want to help someone, but they can't fix them, or they can't make them do something, because it's not theirs to do. It's the other person's to do. And sometimes we take time to get to a stage where we're ready to make that difference, that change. So I know there's a problem. The problem's with me, owning it, being accountable, and having that inner commitment where you're saying something has to change. Right? Something has to change. There's a recognition, I can't stay with this. I'm stuck. Right? Or I want to move forward. I want to grow with whatever it is. So I know there's a problem. The problem's with me. Something has to change. The next step is identifying the goals. What has to change, right? And how am I going to change it, right? And sometimes we do that by imagining, because our brain, when we imagine, we're transferring, we're living as if. Our brain recognises that vision. Right? Our thoughts, our feelings, and what we're doing recognises it as potential, right? And we live with our imagination as if when we visualise. So when someone says to me, I know there's a problem, Catherine. Yes. The problem's with me, I'm owning it, right? And I'm not going to blame myself, I'm going to show myself compassion, kindness, and care, right? But something does have to change. I can't go on like this. Right? It's not working for me. I need to do something else, something different. Then, when they reach that point, the readiness of putting in the steps. When I ask my clients, we've got to a point where there's a problem. The problem's with you, you're owning it. Something has to change. I've made that commitment, right? And it needs to be different. I can't go on like this. I'll ask them, what has to happen? So you imagine what and where you want to be. What does it look like? Imagine it, visualize it, bring it to life. And then I say, what do you have to do? What's next? What are the steps? Right? And often I'll ask, usually I do ask, are you prepared to do what it takes? And people who are on board, I can't snap my fingers, but people are on board that are on with it and like, absolutely, I'm prepared to do whatever is necessary. Obviously not something that's illegal, but something that's possible, and that is good for them, that's healthy for them. Absolutely, I'm prepared to do what's necessary. Sometimes people hesitate when I ask that question. Are you prepared to do what it takes? Right? Do you have the consistency? Are you prepared to put in the work? Are you prepared to continue doing what's necessary? And sometimes people go, and I go, are you not ready? And they look at me and go, no, I do want it to be different. And I'll say, well, the answer has to be yes. I'm prepared to do what it takes. That means that I need to be in it for the long haul. I need to consistently do the healthier habits, thinking, behaviours and attitudes. I need to follow through, which is the last stage. Follow through, right? That's how people are successful. And some people can go through those stages very quickly, right? They're good at decision making. They're very good at following through on steps to make things happen. Sometimes they've got to such a point where they just can't sustain the way things are. Sometimes they're decision makers, right? They're doers. But sometimes people are like, well, I'm not really sure. It's hard. It's difficult. Well, yes, right? Of course it is. But the question is it worth it? If you see the pain, people call it pain point. If all we do is focus on the pain of the discomfort or the pain of fear of rejection, a fear of disappointment, a fear of not being successful, if that's what we focus on, if that's where we point or direct our brain to, well, our brain is programmed to avoid pain, right? Because that's survival. It's a survival instinct. What makes us successful in being able to achieve and do things is where we see the outcome, right? The desired outcome. Right? I know something has to change. I'm prepared to do what it takes. I've put in the steps. I'm owning it, and I'm follow through it because I can see where I'm going. I know what I need to have happen, right? And even if I've not got it exactly in mind, I know that it's better than what's happening just now. So I'm going to take that leap of faith and I'm going to continue. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Is it working for me? That's the thing we need to ask ourselves. Does this actually work for me, what I'm doing? Are these changes making sense, right? Following through on something that's actually not going to deliver the right outcome doesn't make sense. You're wasting your time, right? So we always have to check in. And you'll see in my book, I go through this, in quite a lot of detail and encourage people to contact me when they've bought the book so that they can actually, if they're stuck or they've halted and they need to maybe have a top-up, as I call it with my clients, right? The check-in and the top-up, because I've got so far, but I may be losing momentum, right? So in this Facebook community, I'm asking people to contribute because I want people to be able to jump in and to say, you're doing really well, whoever it is, or, I got to that point and I faltered and I halted and I started questioning and I was spiraling, but then I stopped myself and I did this, and this. That could work for you, right? I want to be the person that's there to empower and encourage and support you, but also I want you to be part of the group and contribute for yourself and also to share to other people your successes, what works for you, what has worked for you, or if you're struggling, to come on and say, hey guys, girls, hey, is there something that you could suggest that I could do, right? And have others come on and say, well, you need to be kind to yourself, but have you thought about this? Or sometimes challenge us. I'm a result coach, right? Psychological ambassador and result coach, which are terms that I came up with in the 80s, right? And I know people call themselves these things now, and that's fine, right? But I think it's really important that we do have this team and support and community. Right? It's a positive, helpful, healthy community that I'm trying to create. And if you want to be part of it, if you know there's other people, regardless of age, right, other people that want to join in, then feel free to do so. I say it's not therapy. This is a support environment to help people through the challenges that they might be facing with their midlife. And as a community, I ask people to be kind, respectful, and considerate, right? Often it's not what we say, it's how we say it. Saying things in a way that other people can hear it is really important. So I'm going to stop now because I'm going on for about 20, I'm just looking at the time here, I've been on for about 25 minutes. I just wanted to come on and just give you a flavour of what I'm doing, the purpose of why I'm doing it, and also to say hello. Okay, take good care, have a wonderful weekend. This is Friday today when I'm recording this, and be safe and take care of each other and take care of you. Bye for now. Until next time, I'm Catherine Gallagher.